everybody. My name is Danny Traphagen, and I'm a senior SA in the startups org. I specialize with healthcare and life sciences customers who are doing a lot of things in ML. They're building out ML ops pipelines left and right. If we take a step back, we think about kind of some of the larger industry trends, right? We just went through a pandemic. There was a lot of aggregation of data, and now we're figuring out how to operationalize that, how to develop insights off of that. So we are going to talk today about industrializing ML through SageMaker. I am here with my lovely co-host, and I will allow her to introduce
Oh my God,
herself.
lovely. So my name is Jillian Ford, and I'm also a startup solutions architect. I work with early stage startups, and our main host guest for the event is Abhishek. Please introduce yourself.
Hey, thank you very much. Thank you. I'm Abhishek Agarwal. You can call me Avi. I'm Senior Product Manager in AWS, working with SageMaker team, helping customers scale their machine learning products and models.
Excellent, very cool. So I know we're talking about industrializing ML through SageMaker. Maybe unpack what that means. Like, how are we industrializing? When I think industrialize, I think of like a Ford assembly line or like machines.
Right?
And so kind of tell us how this fits in with SageMaker, data science, ML ops, all the things.
Sure. So to start with, machine learning is powering artificial intelligence in helping business leaders answer few of the critical business questions. Like they want to answer a solution for fraud detection. They want to optimize customer journey. Machine learning is helping them provide those answers. To give you a context, machine learning has evolved over time. Just few years back, some of the advanced model, let's say ResNet, it had 20 million parameters. Parameters are levers that data scientists change to optimize their model. And today we are talking about models such as GPTs that have 20 billion parameters.
Whoa.
So you can look at the scale about which we are talking. And we have
20 million to 20 billion, that is a big jump.
It is.
And customers are developing millions of models and calling hundreds of billions of prediction per month. Like we have customers who are labeling more than million objects per day.
Wow.
And more than 100,000 of customers are using machine learning on AWS. So we can see the scale at which we want to help our customers excel in the way they are creating not just machine learning model, but actually deploying it for getting a prediction out of it. And here we step in and we say SageMaker provides a solution for that.
Okay, so we've shifted gears really from kind of an industry trends perspective from AI ML being a little bit more investigative to being actually attached to business value. Is that what you're saying?
So machine learning model is not just about creating a model in which we get some prediction. It's about getting the business value out of that investment. It's the business value when model is developed, how do we put into production so that a live business use case can be seen and reflected, business leaders can get answer out of that model.
Wow, yeah, I mean, I think there might be some people who aren't familiar with SageMaker, so maybe you can talk about what SageMaker is and how customers, how SageMaker can, help customers.
Yeah, so SageMaker is a platform that helps data scientists, machine learning engineers to not just build machine learning model, but also train it, to deploy it, in terms of create end-to-end machine learning lifecycle.
Yeah.
So we are thinking literally from first principle, in terms of how do we provide automation and standardization to do all the heavy lifting so that the scale at which our customers develop machine learning models, the pace at which they get to their result, and the volume at which they scale, everything happens at a much more cost-friendlier way. So to give you, in machine learning, in SageMaker, we have different product suite, catering to different jobs that data scientists or machine learning engineers they want to do. Engineering.
So like feature engineering and different types of things. Like I know I talk to a lot of customers that are trying to figure out the most scalable way to train their models. So things like that, labeling, right?
Exactly.
Enabling multiple users to label.
So experimentation is core for machine learning.
Yeah.
So we have seen data scientists, they do multiple trial and errors by changing parameters I talked about. In case of GPT's 20 billion parameters, They change different algorithms, they change different data set to come to a final model that they want to test it out. So SageMaker has a solution, SageMaker Experiments, that does all the heavy lifting in terms of auto tracking, parameters, hyperparameters, metadata, so that data scientists have a singular place where they can easily go, look at all the iterations that they have done as part of their experimentation, do analysis, find the best performing model, and move that model, register that in model registry, then move to actual deployment.
That's really nice because it creates a seamless interface to also manage all the resources under the hood, right? Some models are a little bit more, GPU, computer vision focused, right? And you have different types of models. So can customers also bring their own model, tune their own models on SageMaker? Is that something that's a possibility for them?
Right, yes. So SageMaker supports different workflows of data scientists. It starts with supporting the platform where data scientists can build their model, but it also supports where data scientists can bring their model and use SageMaker for creating endpoints in which they can create a prediction. SageMaker has more than 70 instances that supports prediction. And I would like to talk about asynchronous inference, which is particularly useful for computer vision or NLP use cases.
Sure, yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So in the inference, customers they can also do real-time inferences in which customers provide us the information about their model. They host it using SageMaker. They call live data and they get result out of it. And they can automate the entire workflow by building model monitoring on top of it.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. All right, so what are some of the things that they might want to visualize and monitor? Can you maybe unpack that for us?
Yeah, so machine learning, unlike software engineering, it's not like you develop one software model or software package and you deploy it. Machine learning model requires some process at a scale so that performance and the quality of model can be optimum even when prediction is running at live basis.
And you have to develop some controls against things like bias, right? Like that's something that you really need to focus on.
So bias may not just come from the data, the incoming data at which customers want to call prediction. Bias may also come from model itself. So customers want to set automated pipelines, automated retraining pipelines, in which there's a system in place that detects the bias, and based on the custom rule that user has set up, it retrains the model automatically, or based on the rule, it brings human in the loop. It asks for, it specifies, it alerts some particular user group that user has set up, and that user comes, they understand whether the bias is a real bias or a potentially false flag, and they take further actions.
Amazing. I can see how that'd be really powerful for things like fraud detection, right? And that is directly tied to business impact. So, I think I'll.
I was going to say if there's anything you wanted to show us and show the people at home.
Yeah. So we have a demo that I will present.
Yeah.
But before I do, I want to emphasize there are two important points.
Oh yes.
When we talk about machine learning, it's about automation and standardization.
Okay.
That we want to achieve by providing tools to our customers, to data scientists and machine learning engineers, so that we can help them in their agility to push forward and deploy the model. And we have seen customers at different stages, they adopt MLOps using SageMaker to do that. And in the demo, in the video that I will show next, we talk about one product, which is SageMaker Model Registry, that customers are using to manage their models at scale. And what it does is, once, as I told about the experimentation process, once customer finalize on one model and they move to model registry as a hub, they can version control it. They can also set up approval workflow in which data scientists can really provide. There is a third layer in which data scientists, they can provide approval workflow. It goes through a different persona that approves the model after rigorous quality check. And once the model gets approved, it automates the CI/CD deployment pipeline.
Oh, wow.
And we provide great modularity and flexibility there.
Wow, so this is really great for teams to collaborate from a data science perspective. Like, it's functionalizing that ML ops process and making it so we have controls against common issues like bias, for example.
Right. So let's see that in action.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let me play the video for you.
Training pipelines, inference pipelines, and a set of validation tests. In this video, we will explore how you can manage your models using SageMaker's model registry. With the SageMaker model registry, you can track model versions, their metadata, group models by use case, and track model performance metric baselines in a central repository where it's easy to choose the right model for deployment based on your business requirements. This is often a key feature to enable transitioning the ML workflow from data scientists to ML engineers. When data scientists are working in their notebook or using training pipelines, they can register the models they train in a model group in SageMaker's model registry. Model groups will typically contain multiple versions of a model, each corresponding to an iteration of model training. These new versions could correspond to a new set of hyperparameters that was used to train a model, or a new version of a dataset. When models are in the registry, MLOps engineers can pick which models make it to production by reviewing the performance metrics. Then they can approve models for deployment, and they can integrate this approval workflow with their CI/CD pipelines and have automated model deployment. They can view the lineage of these models as well, all from a single place. Now let's look at a notebook where we take a model that we've already trained and catalog it in the model registry. When we register our model in the model registry, we first create the model by providing the model artifact that's stored in S3, and then we specify which group the model needs to be added to in the model registry. Along with specifying the group, we can provide information such as custom metadata properties. For example, here I'm specifying the model type as a CNN. We specify our model metrics. And finally, we specify an approval status. The approval status typically indicates whether or not the model is a candidate for deployment. When registering our model, we register it with a state pending manual approval, which means in the model registry, users have the ability to, through the UI, approve or reject a model for deployment. Now I'm going to run all of the cells in this notebook, and then we can take a look at what our new version of the model looks like in the model registry. Now that the notebook is done, let's look at our model. We open the model group within the model registry, and I can see there's one new version of the model that's been added. I have two previous versions, both have been approved, and this newly added version is in a state pending. When I double click on this, I can see some activity associated with the model. I can see my model metrics. And under settings, I have lineage tracking of my model automatically taken care of. This trial component corresponds to the trial component in the experiment that was used to train this model. And that information is automatically captured in the model registry. Along with that, I see the custom properties that I've added as well. Now, assuming this model is a good candidate for deployment, I can update the status, set it as approved, and this action can be used to trigger subsequent pipelines for deployment. All of the actions that you take in the model registry are integrated with EventBridge, giving you the flexibility to string together complex workflows for your model deployment. Now that this model has been approved, I see a new activity that's been logged to the model. And when I go back to this list of model versions, I can see now this third version that we added just now has been approved. The model registry serves as a good handoff point between data scientists and ML engineers, or people that are focused on model training and people that are focused on model deployment. I encourage you all to explore SageMaker Model Registry as a central place to catalog and manage all of your models.
Well, that was really cool. We got to see the model registry. We got to see kind of what an ML ops pipeline looks like with SageMaker. I learned a lot. Did you?
Yeah, I mean, one question I know that came to mind for me that I'm sure a lot of people, they love experimenting really at first on their laptop locally before they actually start pushing to the cloud. So is that something that with this entire pipe process that we saw that they could still continue to do?
Exactly. So what customers can do is they can use SageMaker experiments to track, to manage their experimentation. And once they track their experiment and put their model on S3, they can register that model in the model registry that we saw how it operates. And once the model is in model registry, it becomes really seamless to deploy it using CI/CD pipeline just by one single click, as you saw.
Yeah, fantastic. And I know there was a lot of different steps. I mean, what's like the perfect stage in which, whether it's like a person that's learning, machine learning, or maybe it's, a company, an early stage startup, or a larger enterprise. Like, what stage does it make sense to actually start implementing MLOps
Yeah,
experiments?
we have seen customers working at different scales using MLOps, but there is indeed a inflection point in which customers start with one simple use case, one concrete use case, have their data structure in place, and once they do a proof of concept test with really productionizing one model with a very concrete success steps and success benchmarks, then it becomes really easy for them to scale it with hundreds of internal teams that they have, because what they have done is they have created one internal formulation. It's about the culmination of people, process, and technology. So once they have established that right formulation, they just expand it across their organization.
Cool, so it's very neat that it's also, SageMaker's also been designed with like the people engineering aspects at heart. So it sounds like it's a great way for us to kind of scale usage over time. This is great for early stage startups.
Yeah.
This is great for your later stage startups, but it's also great for large global accounts. Can you talk a little bit about the types of customers that have adopted SageMaker?
Exactly. So we have, as I said, like millions. We have millions of models on SageMaker, and these models come from different types of industries. Startups, they are leveraging SageMaker as their go-to tool, so that with one click, SageMaker does all the heavy lifting. They don't need to worry about having engineers set up CI/CD pipeline for them. So once they create the model, it becomes one-click deploy. And we have big enterprises who wants to scale that setup across their hundreds of teams. They are using SageMaker MLOps product to scale it.
Amazing, so it really fits for all different types of customers.
Yeah, so to give you a perspective, right? When customers, they start with one use case that I mentioned, and then do proof of concept. After they see the real value of adopting MLOps, it increases the scale, it increases the speed, it increases the pace at which they can do innovation. It's not just about creating model is one part, but putting that model through right rigorous auditability, right governance structure. SageMaker provides all those capability so that customers can focus on what they want to really do in terms of doing data modeling, creating models, and using it for solving their business challenges.
Wow, awesome. Thank you so much.
So where can people go to learn more? If they want to get started with SageMaker, where should they go to get started?
So we have MLOps PDP page. So customers can just Google SageMaker MLOps, and we will be right on the top where they can look for more information.
All right.
Fantastic.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.